In the beginning, the world was a very dark place, filled with water. It had no sun. It was covered with sky. There were two gods, Zepeacock and Zemunkan. They wanted to be worshipped and adored by beings. They first created animals, however they could not speak and wouldn't listen. They were sent off to the wild to be eaten, hunted, and killed. The second attempt at creating beings did not have better results. They tried making beings out of mud, but they would fall apart. Next, they tried making the beings out of wood, though they wouldn't fall apart and could speak. However, they would forget the gods and pay them no attention. They got destroyed by a great flood and were also eaten by wild animals. Finally, the fourth attempt was a success. The gods created the beings out of corn. They were able to be worship the gods, listen, and had the ability to lead a life without any problems. However, there was still a problem. There was no sun. So the gods made a sun. The beings and the gods who created respected the gods and worshipped them. The gods thought otherwise, however, in the eyes of the gods, humans thought of themselves far more superior and had a high opinion of themselves. Even though this is not true, this is the way that the gods thought.
I hope this infernal noise doesn't shake all of the blossoms off the stems. I can't keep count of my threads. This has been going on for days. What is causing it?
Father says it is the two ruffians from the middle world that are obsessed with playing a game with a rubber ball. It would be fine if it weren't right over our heads. Still, I have mixed emotions about it. Father has postponed my wedding until the noise stops, so it is music to my ears. Play on up there. It is curious that they never get tired. Don't they sleep?
Apparently not, and now neither do we. If your mother were here, she would never have let your father marry you off to Puss Demon. He really is vile, even for one of us.
It's the oozing that really puts me off. But of course I suppose it could have been XXX. He farts constantly. Well, all of them fart, but he is worse than the others. I would settle just to have a suitor with some teeth. Look, see here? These have to be pruned once in a while, or they will never bloom. And these I use ground fish bones from the kitchen. You are never going to remember all of this. Who is going to take care of my babies when I am married?
Stop fretting. I tended this garden long before you were born, though I must admit you have done miracles with it. It's the wonder of all Zabalba. You are the only one who can get many of these flowers to grow down here.
Well, the secret is that you have to water them. This seems to be the only place that it rains. In fact, it never really stops completely. What was my mother like when she was alive?
She was very vibrant. She was beautiful and had such a way to deal with problems. She was incredible. You remind me very much of her.
I wish I had met her.
I'm sure she would have liked to meet you too.
I'm nervous about getting married. Is that normal?
You're marrying an older man in order to help solve a political alliance. Not to mention you've never met this man. I would be shocked if you weren't nervous.
I suppose you're right. It's going to be so different being away from here. I have been here all my life. Going to a new place is going to be difficult. Who is going to tend to my garden now? I have been taking care of this garden since I was a child. These plants are like my children. So many thoughts are racing through my head. I don't know what to think right now.
Take a deep breath, Moon. Everything will be alright. Change can be good. Maybe your new house will be far grander than this of your father's. Perhaps there will be a garden there that will need your special touch. And don't worry about your garden. Rest assured that I'll take good care of your garden. Besides, it's not like you won't come home and visit.
You're right. Everything will work out. It's just all coming so fast. It's a lot to take in. Not to mention I have to attend that silly ball game this afternoon. I'd much rather be here tending to my garden. I hate the ball game. It's so silly, playing with a rubber ball for hours on end. I see no point to it.
Yes, it is silly. This game is important, though. Your father has called the middle world people here because of the constant noise from them playing the ball game day and night. You know how crazy that noise drives your father.
Well, if it isn't going to stop the noise, let them play their silly game then.
Yes, besides, they might actually enjoy their time here, since they have no sun in the Middle Earth. Their world is lit up by a ridiculous little bird with a shiny tooth. Isn't that just hilarious?
That's sad. I can't imagine not having a son. I hope they enjoy their stay here.
The game has been canceled. The twins were no match for us. They were both so naive and vulnerable to actually think that they could win a ball game against my fellow demons and I. They, however, were quite amusing. On the way here, they had gotten lost. When they finally got on the right track and started making their way to Zabalba through the Black Road, when they got to the palace, my friends and I dressed up as servants, and we carved out wooden figures and dressed them up in our own regalia. They treated the wood figurines with great respect and talked to them in a very formal manner. We then asked them to sit down. When they did, they burned their butts on the hot seat. They quickly jumped up, making monkey-like faces. Ha 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 ha. It was all very amusing. Later, they were taken to the House of Darkness. We were curious as to what kind of powers the twins possessed, so we gave them cigars, and we told them to smoke them. However, if they returned them to the wooden figures the next morning untouched. The twins ended up smoking the cigars to a stump, as we had asked. By this, we were able to tell that the twins possessed no powers whatsoever, and since they showed no signs of being intelligent, we saw no reason to keep them alive, so we sacrificed them. It was a shame, though, that they didn't get to play the ball game. I will say this, though, they did die bravely. You know it, stranger, when their blood was burning. It had a very sweet scent to it. It wasn't all such a loss, though. They had some very nice ball game equipment, and since they no longer have any use for it, I took it. Should come in handy when I play ball game with the other lords later. After the sacrifice was complete, we buried their bodies at the ball court, and to make it very clear that we are not to be taken lightly, we hung the head of the eldest twin in the tree, overlooking the ball court. However, something occurred that does have me a bit concerned. As I was walking away, I heard a strange sound, like the whistling of the wind in the trees, and when I looked back, the tree had begun to sprout leaves. This was unexpected and somewhat alarming, so it was decreed that no one should approach the tree or gaze on it, even you, daughter.